welcome to another episode of Mark in the Morning.
BSNSchools.net's homeroom.
How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing really well.
I know. I noticed. I can actually see you.
I know.
Like next
How about
to me.
that?
So yeah, he's back in the States for a little time.
Only a little bit.
Hanging out. So, Mark, what are we doing today?
We're going to talk about the BSNSchools.net professional development offerings.
Yeah. And probably you're familiar with a lot of these already. Obviously, if you're watching the Mark in the morning show, you know that we provide different types of professional development, including our bi-weekly podcast.
Right.
But we also have our live webinars. We have our recorded webinars, which are something we always had in the past, but we're doing some new things with those that we want to talk about. We have online courses, one of the newest components of BSNSchools.net.
Yeah.
And of course, the on-site training, and many of you have probably participated in on-site training before. But then we also have trade time for these new online courses. So, Mark, why don't we talk a little bit about these new online courses and how this is working as far as with that?
Well, as you say, we have sort of four main things that we do, and focusing on mostly the online stuff. We have webinars most weeks during the semester, 10 to 14 per semester, live online events. This past semester it was every Tuesday, right? 3 to 4. It just depends.
It varies.
And they vary. Sometimes professional development. Sometimes it's like presentations from member schools. That kind of
sometimes
thing.
It's more administrative. Sometimes it's more teacher, educator oriented.
Right.
So it varies in that. And we have 10 to 14 again. Right. We skip like President's Day week when there's spring breaks and things like that.
We just want to take a day off.
Take a day off.
You know.
So.
But then one of the new things we've started just recently is online courses, actual asynchronous courses.
Correct.
That work over a 9-week period. One we have right now is called Creating Online Instruction Using Blackboard, which is about building your own courses in Blackboard. So we do 2 of those per semester as well, if you didn't already know that.
Yeah, and so basically every 9 weeks or every marking period, just like in a regular school system, we have our online course available, and you can take that online course, and then other teachers can take it throughout the year, and we offer that 4 times a year.
And it's asynchronous, so you do it at your own pace. You know, we think take you like 1 to 2 hours a week of work time, something like that. And then the other thing we have is any live session that we do, we also record it.
Correct.
So that way, if you can't make 3 to 4 p.m., go back and watch
the recording.
At a later date.
However, we always offered Act 48 credit hours for all of our live events, and we also offer Act 48 credit for our online courses.
Yep.
But one of the new things that we're going to talk about here in just a moment is in the past, the archives, we never offered Act 48 credit hours.
Not for the recordings, right?
Not for the recordings. So now we're actually offering Act 48 credit hours for all of our recording and archived webinar events.
Right.
So before we get to that, let's talk about the online courses and the cost of that.
Yeah, we can do that. So the online course is available sort of based on registration. So if you're in a member school district, pay $50 per registration. That'll get you into the course. We also offer it to non-member teachers too. So if you have a teacher that you think could make use out of Blackboard, $75 is a pretty good rate, I think, to learn how to use Blackboard. But we have a new option now where a district can actually trade one of their on-site days. So you get 4 free on-site days a year, right? Now we can trade those.
So Mark, basically you're saying that if I have 5 teachers that want to take the online course, and I'm the OPC, I can literally go and tell myself that I want to trade that day because that's where they go to, or you or I, and say, hey, I want to trade one of my on-site days, so I only have 3 on-site days. I want to trade that for my 5 online registrants. And then next 9 weeks, though, Mark, I want another 5 teachers, so I'd have to trade another day. Is that correct?
No. There's one. You can trade one day. You get up to 20 registrations. Use it any time that fiscal year. So if you think, let's say it's September, there's going to be 4 sessions throughout the whole year. You could use it over that whole 4 sessions.
So I could have actually 5 the first session, 5 the second session, 5 the third, and 5 the fourth session.
Correct.
Now what happens if I put 5, 5, and 6 in them, Mark?
Well, 5, 5, and 6, that tolls 16.
21.
Well, 5, 5, 5, and 6 would be 21, so you got that wrong there. So if you did 5, 5, and 11, which would be 21, now you're into 2 days, but you would have 19 left. Because each day is traded for up to 20.
Correct.
For that whole fiscal year.
So if I wanted that 21st person to take the online course, I'd actually have to trade
one more day. Or if you didn't want to lose a day, you could just pay the $50. That would be an easy way to do it. And we've had districts do it various ways. Some districts use all their on-site days every year. So they can pay for the one registration. But we have some districts that don't use them all. So it's just something to think about.
I'm trying to figure out your math here. 5, 5, 5, and 6?
You actually said 5, 5, and 6.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know.
Okay, let's talk about the new archives.
Okay.
One of the things that we've always had in the past is our live webinars were always recorded.
Yes.
And you could go onto our website and you could just watch those. We're actually changing this procedure so that we can now offer Act 48 credit hours, correct, Mark?
Right. Let's go through this one step by step.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more complicated, but again, you can get Act 48 credit hours now for watching that. So we're going to go out live to our website.
Yeah, so if you go to the blendedschools.net website, just head up to the professional development button. And then you're going to go to the online section. So there are some minor changes to this page. What you'll find now is on the left-hand side, there used to be the list of training archives still there, but some of the sessions are now going to be available for Act 48.
Yeah.
Now, what used to happen is you would click on a session and it would just take you to the recording, view it, done, no problem. Now what's going to happen is we have our first one here, adaptive release. When I click that, it doesn't take me to the recording, it takes me to Solutionware for registration.
It takes you to Solutionware so that you register. Now, main reason why we need you to register is we need to collect all that information so that we can actually provide that Act 48 credit hour. So Mark, why don't you go through the process right here on the registration page and point out some of the really key components.
Okay, yeah, key components. And try to think in terms of Act 48, PDE, all of that kind of stuff. So here's my registration. It shows me a description. If you've registered in Solutionware before, you'll have seen this screen. Well, I'm going to go to the next step. If you've already got an account, you can log in, or you can create a new one if you want.
So basically, if you've attended any of our live webinars, or if you've taken any of our online courses, or even if you've registered and attended one of our conferences, you will have an account for that system, and you can just go ahead and log in.
Yeah. Now, one of the key components, which I'm not doing very well right now, is remembering your password too. I sort of got that down, getting there. Once you've remembered your password and you go on to the next step, which is right here, there we go. Then you get to the actual informational screen. Now, here is the most important piece of information.
Correct, your professional ID number, because without that, we cannot report this to PDE.
Yes, correct.
So that is really one of the key components. The other key component is obviously your email address. However, it will not allow you to create an account without an email address, because basically when you register, and you want to make sure that your email address is up to date, because when you do register, all the information for attending that session, including the link and other information for getting Act 48 credit hours, is going to be sent to you to that email address. So you want to make sure that that is the valid email address in the system.
Yeah, and just make sure you get the information filled in. PPID, super important. Then what will happen is you will receive an email from the registration system. That will give you then the link to the recording. Okay? Again, thinking in terms of Act 48, when you go in to watch that recording, make sure you put your full name. It's going to ask you for your name. So don't just put in like Mark, Jim.
And why, Mark? Explain why.
So we can identify people. So if you think about it, we have, what, 14,000 teachers?
Yeah.
If you just put Mark R or James S.
How do we know in the registration system you were the person who watched the archive?
So we need to know which James it is, right? And then we can compare it with the registration. The next thing you need to realize is that you want to watch the whole session. Again, think in terms of Act 48.
Correct.
You need to watch the whole thing. If you didn't, it would be like coming into a session face-to-face and just walking out 5 minutes.
And we're able to track that from the back end, so we can actually go in and see how much time you spent in that archive. So you want to make sure that you sit down at a proper time where you have the time to watch that whole thing. Maybe not when the kids are running around or whatever, you need to take a break or whatever, but you probably want to make sure that you have that time available and sit down and watch the entire thing.
Yeah. And then lastly, there's going to be a survey for you to complete in the registration system. Now, all of these steps are in the email. I think the best piece of advice we can give you is to make sure you read the email carefully.
Keep the email.
Yeah, read the steps, all of that kind of stuff. Because what will happen is if you don't complete one of the steps, you won't get your Act 48 and you won't hear from us either. So make sure you complete those steps. And we're going to submit Act 48 at the end of each semester, right?
Correct, yeah. So if you actually watch the archive, let's say sometime here in March, and April, you go in to see if you received that Act 48 credit hour and thinking that you might have missed a step or whatever, please don't panic. Remember, we're not going to submit that until the end. We do basically a submission each semester, because again, it's too hard on the bookkeeping for us to submit every month and so forth. So we do it at the end of each semester. So basically, at the end of school, if came July, you still didn't receive that Act 48 credit hours, then you might want to contact us. And what's the best way to actually contact us if they don't receive their Act 48 credit hours and they actually went through all the process?
If you need help help@blendedschools.net.
That's right.
It's also in the email address, the email that you'll receive from the registration system. So I think the key thing there is if you're not sure, it's okay to ask, you know, but make sure you complete those steps, right? Yep. PPID, full name, survey. The other piece of the puzzle is too that you can view the session as many times as you want. You'll only ever get 1 hour of Act 48.
Correct.
That's the key thing too.
Yeah, so you can watch it multiple times. You'll have that link in your email. You can always go in and watch it, but we're only going to be able to submit Act 48 credit hours for that one event. Now, if you watched another event, then you could get another Act 48 credit hours.
And we're going to have a lot. I mean, by the time we're done
Correct.
with this semester, there's going to be a lot of hours on them. I mean, you could probably get a good 20 hours just from watching those
basically, if you think each semester we're going to have 10 to 14 and you watch the recordings or attended live, either one, you're going to get anywhere from 10 to 14 Act 48 credit hours every semester. You could get 24 a year. In 5 years, you could get 100 literally just through blended schools.
And then if you take the online course too,
we haven't even included the
hours there, so go for it.
Okay. So seriously, we want to thank everyone for watching this new event, some of the new offerings that we're having with professional development. We try to meet your needs. So thanks again for watching another Mark in the Morning.
BlendedSchools.net's Homeroom.